Are we live? Hi everyone, Alex Toddison here, Liverpool Live Lounge. Joined today by
Daniel Hennessy, and our special guest today is Brett Fidge of Now Rooms. He boasts a 97% occupancy rate with over 300 rooms and is the #1 HMO company in Liverpool. Now Brett, you've obviously not always had Now Rooms. What particularly was your life before property?
Yeah. So for me, property started very early. How long have we got? Because this could be a long story or
That's
a short
fine.
story.
No, just guide us through where you started, because you've obviously not always been in property.
Yeah.
So, or has property always been in your veins?
Kind of, yeah. I was fortunate enough to figure out pretty quickly what I wanted to do. I was about 8 years old. My parents had divorced, and I'm at my dad's house one weekend, and he's got this mate who just sits on the couch like this all day long. And my dad, my uncle, and all the others called him Buddha because he was a big lad. He sat around, never went to work. And I was about eight or 9 years old, and I said, Dad, what's going on? Like, who is this guy? What does he do? And Dad sort of laughed, scoffed, like, oh, yeah, kind of implying that he was lazy or just not switched on. And then my dad goes, yeah, he owns a few properties and lives on the rent money. I'm like, what? I'm like, you kidding me? I was like, he's the smartest guy in the room. So I'm looking around straight away, like light bulb. I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to buy houses. So I grew up in Australia in a very small country town, and where I grew up, it was either you go to university or you basically go and do a trade or you work on a farm or something.
Mm-hmm.
School was not for me. I knew that I had to get into property somehow. So I dropped out of school very quickly. As soon
What
as
age was you when you dropped out of school?
16, I think.
16, yeah.
15, 16.
It's fighting the world from a young age.
Yeah, as soon as I was legally able to drive a car, I left school.
Well, can you drive a car at 16 in Australia?
Yeah, because I
It's a
couldn't.
nice little Brucey bonus.
Top tip, drive car 16, Australia.
Yeah, and so yeah, as soon as I had a car license, I could obviously get to work, so I left school. I had no reason to be at school. So I dropped out, did a carpentry apprenticeship because I saw carpentry as my way into property. And my idea was to buy houses and live on rent. So when I finished off the carpentry, I went into the mines when I was about 18 or 19. 19, 20, something like that.
What are the mines like?
Well, I was in oil and gas exploration, which is not exactly mining. It's not underground, but it's like the whole mining environment is the same sort of
What's
setup.
that, chipping away at the thing?
It was oil and gas. So what it is basically like Enzyme, which is like the big gas company.
Yeah.
They have like the big oil rigs, yeah, and they're drilling for oil and gas. So in the same hole, you bring in out oil or gas. So I worked for, being a qualified joiner at this point, I was working for an earth moving company. Started off just building camps, and then started driving machineries and lorries and all sorts, because I was there for the money. It was like the good money.
Good
So
money.
my
I've
idea.
heard Australia's, everything's paid relatively well, and I've got a lot of friends that have sort of gone to Australia and really set up a better life for themselves. And
Yeah.
it's funny that you've come from Australia to the UK.
Everyone says, "What are you doing?"
When did you come to the UK?
To August 2013.
Oh, so not too far.
6 years. Yeah, it'll be 6 years
6
next
years, wow.
month. Couple months. In 2 months, it'll be 6 years. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So I was in London for a couple of years. I'll come on to that. So,
Okay.
so I'm in the mines, earning all this money, which I wasn't educated in property investing. I didn't know things, all the creative ways of buying property that we know now, like lease options and whatnot, and sort of angel finance. That, do you know what I mean? I was just a farm boy.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of that stuff. So I was just grafting in the mines, earning all this money, and saving it all up. I worked out. I remember I'm in the mines one day. I was about 19 or 20, and I'm drawing in the dirt, working out the money I was earning. If I was to buy a house every year, I worked out I'd retire by the time I'm 30. That was my big game plan. So I'm drawing out and working out, my mining salary plus the rental income, 1 + 2, and then over 3 years and then 4 years I'd start building up a portfolio.
Yeah.
That was my logic, and that was all going well. And so anyway, so I saved up all this money, bought my first house, bought it in the US in South Carolina. Because, so, funny story, but basically you can buy, it's kind of like Liverpool, you can buy cheap houses and rent them well. So I bought one in South Carolina and then ended up travelling to the US to basically, part holiday, part 21st birthday in Vegas and all the rest of it.
Nice.
And then I went to the property in South Carolina, renovated that with some friends who I met travelling through America. Shouted them all the accommodation, said, yeah, come with me, we'll go renovate my house. So I did that, and then I travelled back to Australia, went back to the mines, bought another one. My plan was
in Carolina again?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my plan was, because I'd been over there, I'd seen it was all good, rent was coming in, met the family, tenants were good, managing agent was good, everything was sweet. So my plan was to carry on, just keep buying these houses.
What was the numbers on, just the first one you bought in Carolina? It's your first ever purchase of a house in Carolina?
I think it was about 35k, and the rent was like £400 a month or something.
Wow. Is that what, when you say £400, is that UK?
Sorry, $400, US dollars.
And it was $30,000.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good deals.
It was good. It's a little bit volatile. Like, it's kind of like, it'd probably be the equivalent of investing in somewhere like Bootle, I suppose, where the returns could be good, but you know what I mean? It's a bit volatile. Well, I don't know. I'm talking about Bootle from an HMO perspective, so I don't know what it's like from a buy.
Top tip. Bootle, HMO.
The highs are higher.
Yeah,
the lows
are low.
Could be low.
There we go. Continue.
Yeah, so where am I up to?
Yes. To Carolina.
Been over there, come back, saved up again, bought another one. So I really proud. Bought my first house when I was 20, and then bought the second one.
Oh, well done.
When I was
That's a really young age to really be buckling on, and it's well done to you for getting on the ladder and taking the risk of, I suppose, going into another country. It's not your home residence. It was a total risk in another country. So that's obviously commendable.
I thought I was brave buying in Liverpool. 3 hours away. This is 24 hours away.
It's a hike, like, but for us Australian, everything's the other side of the world, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose,
Do you know what I mean? Like, we're on the other side of the world to everything, so any country is like miles away.
True.
So to me, it was like just overseas.
Well, everything's happening to see, actually, the island.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
island, like it's UK, so you like the islands.
Yeah. So very much then.
So North Carolina. Then
I bought this second place, and my plan was just to carry on buying these houses, and then I had a motorbike accident, and I was home from the mines on break. Had a motorbike accident. I was quite lucky, to be fair. I come off my bike doing probably 80 or 90 kilometres, which is 50, 60 miles, 70 miles, something like that. Landed on my bum. I was coming over a hill, landed on my bum, and was like rolling down the road. Basically, got up and kind of felt like I was obviously very, very sore at the time. Sorry, my phone's going. Very sore at the time, and got taken into hospital. Get to hospital, I couldn't get out of the car. I couldn't move my legs. I just couldn't move my legs. Yeah, I was just like numb. But I started crying, I was freaking out.
Yeah, it caused panic. I can imagine I would have only felt the same.
So exactly. So anyway, the nurses come in, they wheel me in, put me on a bed, wheel me into the thing. The doctor, because this is a little town, right? So the town where I grew up is 1,200 people in the middle of nowhere. It's like 2.5 hours from the city. So there's no. I think was he a doctor or a nurse? Whatever he was, like he wasn't qualified to do scans or anything like that. So he goes, I don't think you're paralysed. And I'm like, well, I can't move my legs.
Shouldn't laugh, but that's pretty funny.
So what's going on?
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't think your back's broken, but you need to get scans. So they strap me into one of those. I don't know if you've seen it, like
footballers go in.
Yeah, like
when they get tackled, they're like, oh my leg.
Yeah.
Off, but obviously,
like a car accident. It's like a thing, and it's like a full body car. So they strap me in, and I'm in this thing for like 10 hours. Got flown into the city.
Oh, you went on a helicopter?
Aeroplane, I think. Yeah, it was an aeroplane. Yeah.
Fair play. This was quite
quite
an ordeal then.
Yeah. Well, I was in this thing for I couldn't move my legs for 10 hours.
Could you move your legs in?
No. I couldn't feel my legs for 10 hours. I'm strapped into this thing, like thinking to myself, like, I could be in a wheelchair, yeah. Like that, and I think when I was in the plane, I could get a little emotional thinking about it. But when I was in the plane, I'm thinking like either I'm in a wheelchair or I'm not. And if I'm not, bearing in mind at this point, I've been in the mines. I'm like 21, 22 at this point, and I'm in the mines. I'm seeing all my mates going on all these European holidays, and like just living it up, being 20, being young, whatever, being free. And I was kind of torn. Like I was so focused on sticking it out at the mines until I was 30, just building this portfolio up, so that I could just sit on the couch and do nothing by the time I'm 30 and just retire.
Yeah.
So that was one part of me which was so driven to achieve that. And then the other part of me was like, you know, you're young, you're free, you're single, you know, just go, you've got no commitments, just go and travel the world. So I was so torn in between the two. And when I had that motorbike accident, I'm in the plane, I was like, you know what, if I can walk, like, you live once, like this could all be, everything could end or change drastically.
In a moment.
Like that. Like I come off that motorbike in a split second. Next thing I know, I'm here and I can't feel my legs. I'm just like, damn, like it was a massive eye opener. So I got let out of hospital a day or two later. As I'm walking out the front door of the hospital, booked a one-way flight on my phone to London, sold all my car, my surfboards, my motorbike, definitely my motorbike.
Sold left of it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Sold all my belongings, sold everything.
What about the houses?
I still had them.
Okay.
So they were still ticking over in the background. I had two at that point. They were ticking along, and that was all good. And yeah, I was bound for London, gonna go travel Europe, no plans, no whatever. I was just like, I'm just gonna travel. If I'm traveling till I'm 30, then cool, that's fine. I'll travel all around Europe. I travel over Canada, America, South America, whatever. I just wanted to go see the world because it was such a wake up call.
Of course, it takes a lot of moments like that in people's lives for them to wake up, and it's a shame that it does take them real moments that potentially going to change your life, for you to open up your eyes and think life's bigger than these moments we're currently in.
They say trauma teaches you more, like, what is it? I can't think exactly what the point I'm trying to make, but something about like trauma and the birth of your first child are the most like life-changing
events,
things that
you
can sort of snap everything into reality pretty quickly, and that definitely happened for me. Definitely.
And then, so where did you end up? So you got this one-way flight to London.
Yeah, so I come over with, I had a mate who wanted to come travelling as well, so we both wanted to travel. We come to London together. We travelled all over Europe together. He had a girlfriend who just sort of started singing at the time, and she moved over to live in London with us after a couple of months, and then they ended up going back to Adelaide, where I'm from, in Australia.
Yeah. And
then, so that was after a year. I was just travelling around Europe like an absolute madman.
Well, tell us some real places you went that was really nice, and you recommend to people to get to if they've got an opportunity.
Spain's my favourite country. I started learning Spanish, speak a bit of Spanish. I'm happy to say I've ticked off nearly every country on my list that I want. Well, I've ticked off every country in Europe, I think, except for some of the Eastern European countries. I've pretty much been all through Europe.
A bit colder in Eastern Europe if you're from Australia.
I don't know, if this is Croatia, I think that's
lovely,
That's
Croatia's quality.
So what's your, you said Spain's your favourite. What part of Spain?
Probably San Sebastian at the top. San Sebastian's unbelievable. So nice. Like,
what is it all about? You know, I've never heard of it.
You got Old Town and New Town, and it's like parallel opposites. So it's like a new city, and then it's like an old ancient
small street.
Yeah, like little cobblestone
market.
street. Yeah. And it's such a bizarre like distinction between Old Town and New Town, and then the beaches there are phenomenal. Because me and my mate, I went there with my mate who I travelled over, because I went there at the very beginning of my trip to the UK, and we were sort of surfing around and whatnot, because it's right next to France as well, so you can take like a 30-minute train ride over to Biarritz in Finland, south of France.
Okay.
South France? I'm trying to get a bit confused now. Yeah, South France, isn't it? Must be.
Mate,
good job we're not a travel program. You know what I mean? So it's fine. Guys, don't worry.
So yeah, we were
Europe. It's outside London. That's what we now know.
Yeah.
It's that way.
Yeah.
yeah, so we were surfing around and we meant to be there for a couple of days. Ended up being there for only a couple of weeks. So it's just such a nice place. So yeah, did loads of travelling, and then probably the funniest travelling story. I don't know if I've told either of you guys this, but
share it with everyone.
All right, so I'm travelling around the Greek islands, and was I on my? Yeah, I was on my own. I'm travelling around on my own around the Greek islands. And I was living in London because I was living in London for the first couple of years. I was living in London, working on building sites. I was managing like high-end projects in Chelsea and Richmond and whatnot.
I love them areas. You know,
yeah, like
really,
absolutely.
really nice affluent areas, and it's really, I think there's a lot of good community base down there.
Yeah.
It's expensive, you know.
I
like £1 million for a flat.
Ridiculous.
2-bed flat, if not a bit more these days. It's
yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean the biggest job I did was I was like the site manager of a five-story terraced house in Chelsea. It was such a good project. It was like a
5-story terrace house.
Terraced house, yeah. It was
not
huge.
a block of flats. 5-story terrace house
in Chelsea, yeah. So what's the I can't think. Is it It's Albert Bridge?
Yeah, that's it.
So you go over. You're going from the south of London, go over Albert Bridge, and there's, I probably shouldn't say exactly where, but there's a couple little side streets in there on the right hand side as you go over, and it was in there. So it was such an old derelict. It was like kind of like the distressed properties that we're looking for around Liverpool. One of them, and there's this family, and they were renovating there. So I was the site manager. I was working for a developer, site managing it for him, which was brilliant. So I do that, earning decent money, and then just take off to Europe, like all over the place. And
so what happened in the Greek islands?
Yeah, so I'm on one of my little holidays around Europe, and then I'm in the Greek islands. I meet a girl at this bar, and I say, you know, where are you from? She goes,
in Spanish or Greek or in English? Or
in English. I think, well,
no, was she?
Probably just mumble jumble at this point.
I can relate.
And yeah, you know, who are you? What's your name? And she's like, yeah, I'm Violetta. No, where are you from? I'm from Poland. Where do you live? London. I'm like, oh, brilliant. I'm living in London. Well, this is good. And then she goes, I was like, whereabouts in London do you live? She goes, you wouldn't know, it's in southwest London. I'm like, I'm living in southwest London. She goes, yeah, a little place you wouldn't know. I'm like, well, what is it? Streatham Hill. I was like, what? I was living in Streatham Hill. No one knows. You know Streatham Hill, right?
Yeah.
No one I met knew where Streatham Hill was. So you got to try and explain where it was. And I'm just like, right. So she goes, yeah, I live in Streatham Hill. And I'm like, and I'm saying, yeah, I live in London. I live in Streatham Hill. And she's going, yeah. I'm like, no, I'm serious. I live in Streatham Hill. And I was like, whereabouts? She goes, can I say the street name?
Yeah.
I was like, Liam Court Road. And I was like, what? I'm like, I live on, like, my bus stop was Liam Court Road. So I'm just like, this was ridiculous. Turned out we lived 100 metres away from each other in London.
And met in Greece.
Met in Greece, yeah.
Waiting for the love story.
Yeah, so well, that's it. That's the love story. But no, it's how we come together. And then basically after that, we started dating straight away. We were married like a year.
Oh, this is the lady you stay with now.
Bombshell.
I didn't
yeah,
married. We're travelling, and that's who you're married to now. That's amazing. I didn't know that, and this is why I love Live Lounge, because it enables you to share stories with us. That's brilliant.
I thought you knew.
No, do you know? I know you've obviously been married and you've got a girlfriend and
so that's my
wife. But yeah, I didn't know where you met.
It was bizarre. Like everything just fell into place. It was really weird.
It just was right. And so how long you guys been together now?
5 years.
So you've done this. You've met this your partner, your wife, and then what? That's in Streatham. So you're in London. So how have you ended up in Liverpool?
Yeah. So basically, when I met Viola, obviously. I'd never had a serious relationship really.
You've been very busy. You've been in America.
Yeah.
You've been not walking. You've been in all over Europe. So I can understand why you haven't had a.
Yeah.
And then the first one, a serious one, you marry her and life's good.
It was hard not to ignore the signs. To be fair, though. When
I was wanting to go.
Yeah. Well, when I come over here, the last thing on my agenda was a relationship. And then I met Viola and everything just changed. Like, I think, I don't want to get all corny and cliche, but like, it just changed.
We'll laugh at you if you do.
That's fine. You
No,
know,
it's
you
good.
fell in love, and then I think that's a lot of people take a lifetime to find that what you found on that journey through that experience.
Yeah.
And what actually, it's amazing where that experience started from. It all started from that moment when you fell off that bike.
Yeah, it is.
And that was a life-changing moment for you,
100%.
which has now propelled you into to
100%.
where you are now.
So now you've ended up in Liverpool. Well, how did your wife decide to come to Liverpool? And was it her or?
So I was basically, we got married, like, and when I realised, like, she'd been living in London for 10, 12 years or something at this point. So, and I was alright with London, but I knew that if obviously we're sort of staying in and around London or somewhere near, then I might as well just get rid of the properties in the US and reinvest here. And actually, to rewind a few months, started experiencing some serious issues with these properties. So my manager basically kind of went off the radar.
Right.
For the first year over here, I was traveling around Europe, and I'm like, watching the rent roll in, it was a good feeling. And then shortly after that, the rent stopped coming in. I was like, wait a minute.
Was they pay for in cash?
No, so I had a manager on the ground in
Yeah, did you pay the houses in cash though? Or
Yeah.
mortgage?
So I didn't have a mortgage, but I had taxes and stuff, like in the US, there's taxes coming out left, right and centre. I'm just like, oh, damn, like, so yeah, the rent stopped coming in. And I said to Viola, I was like, well, you know, I had to get rid of the properties. And I was doing research. I did research on Hull, Leeds, Sheffield, Manchester and Liverpool, because my idea was I had to get back on the bandwagon of, I felt like I'd done all the travelling, and I got to the point in travelling where the bug wore off, and I think meeting Viola kind of changed my priorities.
That was the pinnacle of it, you know.
I think so, yeah.
It's kind of maybe what your destiny was for, and that was what it was for, the travelling to me.
I think so. And I ticked off all the countries on my list. I ticked off all the big festivals and all the big parties and all that kind of thing. And it started to wear a bit thin. I think, like I say, when I met Viola, the ambition to want to go travel and just, you know, go crazy kind of just, priorities just changed. So
love.
Yeah, well, yeah, call it that. Property, yeah. So then I realised, like, I'm done with travelling, so it was focused on. That's the point I'm getting to.
Yeah.
Right? So when I met Viola, it was like, it's focused now. I'm done with the travel. It's focused. So what am I going to do with these properties? The rent wasn't coming in. I'm trying to get hold of the manager. Long story short, my manager went AWOL. I don't know what happened to her personally, but something happened, because going from having a very good encounter when I went over there and worked with her, I was there for a couple of weeks with her. Everything was fine. Everything up until this point was all good, and then all of a sudden the rent stops coming in. And anyway, long story short, ended up getting the properties in the hands of an independent agent, a realtor as they call them in America. He sold them for me. Ended up losing a significant amount of money, because when the manager went AWOL, obviously the properties went down in value because they were being mismanaged and rent not coming in and maintenance, you know, typical story. So I saw firsthand what it's like to be in another country, not know the processes, the ins and outs, you know, all the how to get the property sold, all the things you need to do to adhere to. I experienced that firsthand with the first two properties I'd ever bought, that I saved up with my hard-earned money from spending all those long days and weeks and months out in the mines, and all my pocket money from when I was 8 years old. Half of that, more than half of that, was just gone. So that was pretty gut-wrenching. However, the money that I did get from the sale of those two properties, that's when I moved up to Liverpool. And I said to Viola, I'm like, all right, we're going up to Liverpool. Because the money I had, I wasn't going to build a portfolio in London, so it was Liverpool.
So was it a case of, like, probably very similar to myself and Dan then, was the prices north, and you did your research, you said Hull, where was it, Hull,
Leeds, Sheffield, Manchester, and Liverpool. Exactly like you guys, because I've had this conversation with you guys, like how you guys ended up in Liverpool. Same thing for me. It was by far the most exciting property market and city to be involved with out of those northern cities.
The best city.
Come to Liverpool.
Come to Liverpool.
Visit Liverpool.
It's all right.
We're going to tourist board soon.
So yeah, you've moved up to Liverpool now. It's what year are we in? 2013, or was that when
15.
2015.
It's
so
about October 2015.
How did your wife feel about moving to Liverpool?
She was alright with it. She could see how focused I was. She backed me. She was pretty supportive. She knew like I was onto something. She knew that I was serious about this, and yeah, she didn't hesitate. I was just like, yeah, we're going to Liverpool. Because bearing in mind, it wasn't just like an overnight decision. Oh, let's just go to Liverpool. When I sort of settled down, I spent probably like 6 months. Like I was still working on the building sites and that in London. Coming home for like 3 or 4 hours a night, doing research, doing all property stuff that you do at the beginning. Area knowledge research so I was doing that for probably like 6 months, and some property training and whatnot.
What property training have you done?
Legacy.
Legacy. What was in particular? Did you do on Legacy? Was it just like?
I mean, it's basically You do like your basic training, then you can pick specific modules. So the modules I chose was creative financing, HMOs, and distressed property. And it was all good. It was all good training. I think, I mean, nothing, like any training, no training is like on the ground in the real world.
So that's all about, would you say, to learn the most from any experience, you need the practical element of the practical element is where you learn the most. Being hands-on, being in the project, seeing it happen firsthand, not telling you in a textbook saying, well, this is what you buy. Because we find that a lot. We speak to a lot of investors, and they go to these courses, and then they've been given this formula of this house that just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's like they're like, well, we've got to find this plus the reefer plus that. Got to have like buy a refurbished finish. Like, I don't think that exists. So
I think the thing so first of all, the training that I did was good because a lot of the processes are different here in the UK to what they are in Australia. So,
what are some key findings that you can pass on to people from them trainings?
From the trainings, probably, I mean, it's all stuff that you can, well, not all. A lot of it is stuff that if you go out into the real world enough, you can learn a lot of it. If you know the fundamentals, if you know how to speak to mortgage brokers, accountants, all that sort of thing. I mean, I don't know. I'm probably not the first person, to be honest, to ask about training because I've such mixed opinions about it, and I'm probably on the fence, to be honest, one way or the other.
I'm very much like yourself. Just a shameful plug here. Myself and Dan at Red Plum, we've just launched our Earn and Learn program for that very reason. That we believe that as much as you can learn in a classroom or from a mentor, kind of ringing them up and asking what questions, unless you know what questions to ask and where to start. So we set up our service where we're doing the Earn and Learn to take people on a journey and physical, practical knowledge on how to do things. So very much like you're saying, benefits people just by doing.
Yeah, I think it depends. It depends on who you are, how you learn, and that sort of thing. Like going back to the beginning of my conversation, I was saying that school was not for me at all.
Yeah.
So when I think about the fact that I spent the amount of money I did to sit in a seminar and learn about property, to me it's kind of a little bit baffling if I think about it now.
But I suppose that comes of age. I think at a younger age, sometimes you don't value the education and the school system. What you learn is I don't even know, like pi. I've never gone into a shop and thought, right, pi theory or whatever. Or pi. Oh my god, Pythagoras, whatever. Yeah. Gone into the shop and going, well, that is very useful.
You use trigonometry though, don't you? With property, no? Oh, I did as a joiner. You trigonometry, like working out angles and...
We utilise, we scale and we get other people to do it.
Leverage. I'll go, that's a 90-degree angle, that shelf's at 180.
You know you've got... you got iPhone, right?
Yeah.
You know, if you go onto Compass, you swipe across and it's got to measure the angles. So you turn your phone like that and it'll go 48, 49, 50 degrees.
Wow.
That's what, yeah. So
another top tip.
Just carry your iPhone.
You use Compass on your iPhone and you can do your angles.
Cool, well that's something that we'll take on with us on board.
Certainly.
And so let's go back to delve into the property and where you are. So you took the big leap, you've moved away from Australia, had the bad experience in North Carolina.
South Carolina.
South Carolina. You've moved away from there. Property wasn't really working. You've taken a big loss. Now you've moved up to Liverpool done a bit of training.
Yeah.
Where did you then take that, and where has your property journey moved on from that to get to where you are right now and ended up with Now Rooms?
Sure. So I moved up to Liverpool thinking that I was going to stay here for 2 or 3 years, build up my contact base, or learn the area first, build up my contact base, and build a buy-to-let portfolio. I wasn't that keen on HMOs, if I'm totally honest. I'd gone through the training and all that sort of thing. I thought they were more. I wanted simple. I wanted to be sitting on the couch like my dad's mate. I just wanted to hands off, no hassle, that sort of thing. And to me at the time, HMOs just seemed a bit like aggravation. Knowing what I know now, it's like it was a day in the office for me now, so it's bread and butter. But I think at the time I come up to Liverpool with the idea of building a buy-to-let portfolio. Long story short, after about a month or so of being here, I was running around viewing properties like a kid in a toy store, just viewing as many properties as I could when I first got here, meeting as many people as I could, just like you guys have done, or doing. And then I met my business partner at the time, and he had a plan to do rent to rent. So he had a few HMOs.
Rent to rent HMOs? Or?
No, like his own HMOs. He just developed. He had some buy-to-lets, and then he had HMOs, and he developed 20 odd units, HMO units, and put them online with the 2 most reputable agents in town for HMOs. And between the 2 of them, they filled 1 room in London.
I do find that is a very much a sector in demand in Liverpool, and which is one that you feel really so well. The fact that there's not any specific tailored agents that fill rooms.
Yeah.
They're all kind of used to doing the buy-to-lets, or your simple.
Like,
your simple models.
Students, because students just come and go once a year. But doing. I mean, when this happened, I met my business partner. He said, "Yeah, I got this plan to do rent to rent." We were going around looking for rent to rent deals for about a month, and so nothing. We had a couple deals sort of coming onto the desk, but nothing concrete, nothing land. I mean, we had a couple deals agreed, but meanwhile, through our network, we were getting asked like regularly, "Oh, you manage an HMOs?" We're like, "Well, not really. We're looking for rent to rent deals, but okay, fine. We'll manage yours. We'll manage yours. And then this is like I met my business partner in October something, 2015. So November, December, by Christmas time, 2015, we were managing half a dozen HMOs, and we didn't tell anyone we were doing it. We didn't even ask to do it. They were coming to us. So January 2016, we said, okay, there's clearly a demand here. Something's going on. So I sat at home for a week just
brainstorming.
Yeah, I was going to say I did my research on who's doing what in town, and I realised.
Spying.
Kind of, yeah.
A week of spying.
Yeah, exactly.
Research,
market research on potential competitors, and I realised very quickly in a big way that no one was really doing professional HMOs, and they weren't. And the ones that claimed to, they couldn't answer any basic questions. So I was like, okay, there's a demand here. I know what everyone's doing. I know what they charge. I know how they're doing it. And so my business partner and I designed the logo, which is still our logo today.
And
put up the website. Now Rooms was born, and yeah, here we are. So that was in January 2016.
How many properties are you managing right now?
I think we've got about
roughly
70 odd HMOs that we manage.
70 HMOs. How many tenants?
We've got just over 300 tenants. We've got about 700, bit over 700 rooms under contract. That includes some city centre stuff that we do lets for, but that's not really our focus. That's a one-off relationship, and then we've got a portion of those units as well, units that we have under contract that are still under development.
Excellent.
So that they're coming online like next month, 1 month after, whatever.
Fantastic.
So yeah, in terms of our existing portfolio, sort of like 350 odd
Okay, brilliant. And what kind of packages do you do for landlords?
In terms of management packages?
Yeah, in terms of management, what kind of services do you provide?
Yeah, I appreciate that question because we spent a lot of time sort of trying to develop different packages. So we had 5%, 7.5%, 10%, 15%, all these different sort of levels of, and it got to the point where like we were doing like a 5% package, but it was causing more aggravation or let only. I mean, apart from the city centre stuff, which is a unique relationship.
Bespoke, that one, yes.
Yeah, that's that doesn't really fit the mould of what we do. That's a one-off on the side sort of thing. But apart from that, we were finding that we're putting tenants into properties and that we're doing let only or 5%, which is where we're not actually full management. So which meant the landlord was responsible for the maintenance and looking after the tenants. And when you put the tenant into the property and they're not getting looked after, they come back to us. They're going, we're like, well, we've got to try and explain we're not your actual agent.
Yeah.
We just put you in the property, so we basically said no more let only because it's just giving us a bad name. That was first thing. The management, I mean, we were just like, well, what's the point of managing half the property? It's standard management. So basically, long story short, now it's just 10%, which is standard market rate for Liverpool for management, and that's just a fully managed service.
Okay, and what would that include?
Well, everything. So as a landlord,
I'm a landlord. I've just bought a HMO.
Yeah.
I'm not too familiar with Liverpool. I'm thinking, right, now rooms, Brett Fidge.
Yeah.
What is it? What do you offer? 10%. What does that get me?
Yeah. So 10%. So basically, so let's say this is your property. What's yours?
It's mine, yeah.
So you want to turn it into an HMO. Give me the keys. We do everything except for pay your mortgage, pay your utilities, council tax, and that's it.
And that's about it.
We do everything. So you give us the keys. We'll find the tenants. We'll reference them. We do all the marketing. We find the tenants. We put them in the property. We do all the documents. We check them in. We do monthly inspection. If you've got a licensed HMO, mandatory license, because you've got mandatory or selective licensed HMOs in Liverpool.
So you sort it out, sorry.
We can sort your license out. Yeah, we sort your license out. So basically, you give us the keys. You do nothing. We will take over the property. We put the tenants in. We collect the rent from the tenants on the 1st of every month. We pay you the rent on the 8th of every month, and then we'll send you your rental account statement. We do, depending on your property, whether it's then we'll do like monthly or quarterly inspections, and then do your report as well. So you could be sitting. I mean, we've got landlords all over the world now. That's a good thing about this business for me is because I've got such a client base all over the world. My connections are staggering compared to what they would have been if I didn't do this. And so we've got landlords in different time zones all over the world that just sit back, collect their rent on the 8th and their account statement like a day or two after, depending on where the weekend falls. And they just get their rent, their statement and their property report every month.
So similar to that guy all around Australia where it all started. We were sitting in the chair, the big Buddha.
Yeah.
They're now them people.
Well, this is the thing. This is like now because that's kind of what I don't know if that was the initial motivation for wanting to do it. We saw a gap in the market. I didn't have income at the time to start this management company. I saw a gap in the market. I didn't have income at the time. I saw an opportunity. So that's where the idea of sort of doing the management company started from. But the motivation to want to build the best management company that I can comes from the pain that I suffered when my property
South Carolina.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why really.
Because I got let down.
Forward.
I got let down so badly. So now, when I've got a lot of clients in Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, Abu Dhabi.
You got any UK clients?
Yeah, loads. Like a lot of our landlords are from London.
Yeah.
But I'm just using the international examples because they're
the same
position I was in. So when I'm on the phone to them or whatever, or the team are on the phone to them and they've got issues and we're sorting out all their issues and we're looking after their property for them. It gives me a good feeling because I know that I got let down on that front. So, and it cost me a lot of money. So and a lot of stress and so on. So.
That's fantastic. So guys, if you obviously are looking at HMOs, we'll put Brett's details at the end of the video for you to get in contact with him in Now Rooms.
And now I want to touch on the HMO market in Liverpool, because I had, and it's quite funny that you come on today. So an investor rang me this morning and she said, look, I'm looking for a HMO in Liverpool. What am I looking for, and primarily, what do you believe works in sort of terms of HMO now? Because what I'm seeing, and from my experience, I look online and I see a lot of HMOs for sale.
For sale, yeah.
For sale, yeah, for sale. So that makes me think, what's your general view of the market, where it is now, and where you believe it's going in the HMO market?
Yeah, okay. So I think one of the first points you made was about the investor that you spoke to. So probably one of the most common questions I get asked is, where's a good area for HMO in Liverpool? And I always say to whoever's asking the question, I'm like, well, what kind of tenant do you want, first of all? Because I think what's different about Now Rooms and what we do is that because we manage professionals and room-by-room tenancies, we're managing, our properties range from a 2-3 bed apartment on multi-tenancies to sort of 15, 16 bed houses to 150 unit block in town. So, and everything in between. So the size and shape and variation of HMOs we manage ranges drastically. Typical things we manage is kind of like a property like this, a terrace house that's been converted. That's probably the most typical. And then tenant type as well. We manage properties from the racecourse down to the airport and everywhere in between. I don't know this for a fact, but I'm pretty confident that we cover more postcodes in Liverpool than any other HMO agent. I'm pretty confident of that.
It's funny, and just to touch back on that, now because you've mentioned you go away to the racecourse, I actually went to view a property yesterday, funny enough, in L9.
Yeah.
I wasn't particularly sure, because obviously we are going to primarily be doing flats, so HMO is the market I've just shied away from, because I just see so many people go from buy-to-let to HMO. That is a market that I feel that's really got a lot of pressure in it.
Yeah.
But it's down in L9. Not too familiar with L9, so maybe you could give me some ideas on L9 as an area, because it's a little bit cheaper. But when I go there, it's just for me, it's just I don't know, it feels a little bit far away from town.
Yeah.
Is that an area that people you can get away with HMOs, and what's your type of tenant demand there?
I think I've got to be a bit vague about that, just because I've got obviously clients who have property all over. But what I will say about L9 is I think L9 can be deceiving because the properties are perfect for HMO up there.
I know.
Well, a lot of them.
But the one we went to do,
they're big rooms, good prices, all the rest of it, and they can convert into really nice HMOs. I do agree with your point that I think, from our point, because we specialise on the young professional market.
Okay,
so
that's
graduates,
where you specialise.
That's our specialty.
Okay.
So we do sort of generally, like broadly speaking, working professionals. So we don't do any benefit tenants. We do students, probably 20% of our portfolio would be students. But our speciality is graduates, young professionals.
Yeah,
and most of them want to live, generally speaking, closer to town or down south.
So people that have left university.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because I did read that Liverpool's the #1 town where people stay and graduate stay after university in the whole of the UK.
Is it?
Yeah, that's a fact. So there you go, top tip.
I know. Well, the percentage, the actual percentage is rattling around in the back of my head, but I don't want to say it because it will be wrong. But I have heard the percentage very recently, so I should be able to bring that to.
Just.
I don't know. It's around.
Approximately, this is.
No, I don't want to say because I think it's around 40%. I could be wrong.
What the stay?
The state, I think
It's very high.
40 or 70.
There's near enough 1 in 2 students stay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something
no,
like that.
it's
But you've
one-
got to bear in mind as well, a large portion of the student population is from Asia in Liverpool. A large population. I don't know.
Yeah, very much. We don't need percentages. It's
That's
fine.
fine.
It's fine. No,
So
that's
you've got so now where are you now? Now Rooms. What's the direction of Now Rooms, and what do you see the future of Now Rooms?
So actually, I use this opportunity to a bit of an announcement.
Yeah, please do.
We've got a big announcement. Big announcement.
We got fireworks to pop us.
Yeah.
No, so my business partner and I, who started the company, long story short, basically, myself and two new business partners now bought my previous business partner out of the business.
Okay.
And that happened Monday last week.
So that is news
Hot
live
off the
in Red
press.
Plum Live Lounge.
Hot off the press.
Hot off the press, yeah.
There you go.
So as of Monday last week, yeah. So now the ownership structure has changed slightly. So in terms of the new direction, I think we'll stick to what we know, stick to what we do best, but kind of just evolve. I think I can't really say too much at this point because we're kind of a bit of a transition period at the moment. But I think more of the same. And bigger, better, ideally.
Bigger, better, exact same management.
So, Brett, I remember speaking with you a few months ago, maybe more recent than that. But you also you've got a side of Now Rooms that you can source.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. So
it's not just management side of it. You can help.
So we were like a foundation. First and foremost, we're an HMO management agency, is what we do.
Yeah.
So, and then on the side of that, we've kind of do some various different consultancy services, like hand holding, training, education, that sort of thing about the market.
All HMO based?
Specifically,
all
yeah.
HMO based, consultancy.
Specifically HMO based, yeah. And then we also have like a sales arm as well, so selling HMO. So I don't know how many properties we've got. I think we've got half a dozen HMOs sales going through at the moment.
Nice.
I think we've just, sold 6 or 8 in the last couple months maybe. Got a couple more one should be, what's today? Wednesday, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wednesday.
One was due.
We're always on a Wednesday, guys.
One was due to complete today. So yeah, we're starting to sell more and more property. I'm going to put this out there. The properties we're selling we're not going to go, we don't have capacity at this moment in time to be able to go out and find you the deal you're looking for. So how all the sales that we've done so far have worked is, because we have so many buyers coming to us, we've got a ridiculous amount of people wanting to buy. I think this comes on to your other point that you made about the HMO market being a bit overinflated.
Yeah.
So we've got so many people coming to us wanting to buy. They've got 50, 100, 150, 200, however many thousands, and they want to buy an HMO in Liverpool. So we've got all these buyers here who want to buy, and most of them are cash buyers. And whenever an existing landlord wants to sell, I think predominantly the ones that have been mainly around the tax changes and that sort of thing.
Of course, the changeover.
Want to liquidate, or they just want to liquidate, change a strategy, whatever it might be.
Retire.
They're coming to us and saying, well, sell this for me. So we do, and matching. We typically share. Very rarely do we share one opportunity with more than one investor, because we've got all these different varying criterias. We should just share it with the first person we know it fits their exact criteria.
So it's tailor-made.
So yeah, so it's not like we're not sort of doing like an email campaign and blitzing out opportunities to hundreds of.
And are they going on Rightmove? So you're saying these are not going on Rightmove. So if you actually are looking for
they're HMOs that we manage.
HMOs that are being managed by Brett, you need to get in contact with him, because he's going to be the guy that's going to be able to take you through the whole process, start to finish, find you the HMO that's not going to be on Rightmove, this dream HMO that you may be trying to find, and Brett's going to help you find that. So that's another great thing that guys watching this can get involved with.
Indeed, yeah.
Use the word Red Plum so Brett knows.
Oh yes, of course, yeah. Referral fees, yeah. I forgot about that.
Always thinking. There we go, Brett.
By all means, reach out. Yeah, see if we can help you.
Brilliant. And where do you see the?
Yeah, actually, you mentioned something there about hand holding, because we sell some property to. Do you know? All right, here's a quiz. How quickly does the conveyancing process take in Hong Kong?
Enlighten me,
please.
We can't get answers here, can we? But I tell you, it can be 24 hours.
24 hours.
24 hours. So when you're selling a property to someone from Hong Kong, and it can take 2-3
weeks,
months.
Yeah.
In the UK, they kind of like, well, what's going on here? So yeah, that's part of the sales process we kind of do is handhold the, because from this is the problem I had being Australian in the UK. I didn't understand all these processes because it's slightly different to Australia. So here, Hong Kong investors don't understand. You have to chase the solicitors every day. You have to push the deal through. Otherwise, it just doesn't go through. So,
yeah.
So guys, if you want consultation with Brett, we'll put obviously the website on the comments, and Brett's going to be tagged in, so you can always contact him directly. Obviously, just mention Red Plum. And,
mention Red Plum, definitely mention Red Plum.
And then so we know where you got it from, and if you mention Red Plum, we give a little discount to him.
Give a discount, yeah. What are we offering though? Consultancy. 10% discount there.
10% discount, and you can speak to Brett, get a consultation fee. That consultation, I suppose we get a bit more in depth. I suppose postcodes. What you tell us? In that consultation ring, what would you get? Someone rings, I want a consultation fee. What are they going to get for that little?
We offer a few different services. So the full consultancy thing we do is a 1-day training where it's like a half seminar, half on site with builders and looking at conversion projects. So you spend a full day with us. I say you kind of spend a full day with us. You walk in not knowing anything about HMOs or Liverpool. You can walk out knowing exactly what to buy, where to buy, how much to buy it for, what to do with what you buy, how to present it, how much you're going to rent it for, everything about HMOs in Liverpool. You learn on the day with us. We cover obviously areas extensively, introduce you to all of our power team, relevant power team, and we take you out onto site so you can see some opportunities, see some conversions, meet the builders on site. This is on the last Saturday of every month as well. So we used to just wait until like a room would book up and then we'd book it in, but then this year we're like, let's just do it every month. So to book this on as well, just go onto our website and go on to...
We'll put the links below.
I think if you go onto consultancy or landlords, maybe there's the landlord tab and then consultancy, just go to the HMO day, you can book on there. It's on the last Saturday of every month, but it's a full day, everything. So
how much is that? How much that cost?
£500 or $497 or something. But if you mention Red Plum, you get a 10% discount.
There you go. There you go. That's an absolute winner.
That's a steal.
So that's the full thing, and then sort of breaking it down. Then we do the next one down would be the half-day orientation. Man, I'm going to forget some of these prices. You're going to have to look on the website.
The price is fine.
I think whatever the price is, I don't know. Have a look, because there's loads of different consultancy services. But half-day orientation where we sit down and do like a couple hours, like get to know what position you're in, what your objective is, what are you trying to achieve, and then I'll give you all the relevant market knowledge you need to then implement your strategy that's going to suit you to get your objective. And then I'll take you out, show you around Liverpool, where to go, what to buy, and so on. So that's basically like a half day of the full day. And then there's, what else have we got? Like a one-to-one, which is just a one-to-one consultation, which is the same thing as the half day, but without going out onto site. So that's 2 hours. And then, and that's about it, I think.
So there's a lot of services there and consultations and of things that you can learn directly from Brett and his team at Now Rooms. Fantastic guys. You've seen you've heard the numbers that they're doing.
And where not to buy?
Where not to
buy?
I
know you've got where to buy.
You don't have to tell us that now. Obviously,
where not to buy.
Yeah.
Just where to avoid.
I can't say that because I've probably got a landlord who's got one there.
Okay, well, fair
enough.
enough.
I think, at the end of the day,
consultation, isn't it?
Where not to buy. I think it's it depends what what position you're in, what strategy you're looking for. So
can I just ask? So from what you've just said, really, area is very important, but it's not the be all and end all, because I know I won't exactly explain where we are now, but I've spoken to a couple of HMO management companies in Liverpool, and I've had conflicting information. Now I know you've got a HMO very close to where we are now, achieving very, very good money, over £400 a month on the rooms, whereas when I spoke to another HMO company, explained exactly the same kind of house and whether it had en suites or not, etc, they were telling me you wouldn't be able to get over 325. Now, The reason being is obviously that just shows to me the professionalism that Now Rooms can give you and the advice that it can give you, because they know the intricate details of their business. Okay, so you've got to take into consideration, people. Some people and management companies, and won't name any, will just want your money. At the end of the day, you have to research. You can't just give it to any management company. You have to take advice and do your research on the management companies. This is why we got Brett in. We're not going to associate ourselves with people that we don't fully believe in ourselves. So again, I go back to it. We'll put all Brett's details down on the comments above when we place this live. And yeah, any questions?
Anything else you want to add?
I would add to that. Yeah, I think I appreciate everything you said.
You can pay me later.
Appreciate. I think you, yeah. To add to that, I think any agent their opinion is based on their experience. I'm not saying our experience is better or worse than anyone else's. I'm just saying our experience is our experience. I'm very confident in what I know. I'll put my hand up and say when there's things I don't know, because I have my speciality, I have my expertise, and outside that I'm not going to claim to be an expert on all things. But our experience is our experience. So I mean, you've seen, I've told you, you know the details.
I know the road.
Of the one nearby, and I mean, I don't doubt that you have been told that, to be fair, because I think most people would probably believe that, but with our market, with our model, what we do, we can achieve that. And it's not saying that we can do that in every street and every postcode, because some parts of Liverpool, our market, our model, and what we do is probably not going to get the best results in Liverpool. So there may be another agent who can do something different, something better. I don't know. I mean, I don't think that they could do HMO better, but I got to say that.
Yeah.
But you know,
you got it. You are. The reason you're sitting on this couch is because we know the market. We spoke to a lot of agents, and you are the number one HMO agent in Liverpool.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, because we've got a lot of people that will watch this video, and a lot of people want to invest in Liverpool and get into HMOs, ultimately to bring you on so they can use your help.
Yeah.
It's all about helping and like connecting one another. And that is the reason you're here, because you're the number one in Liverpool, and that's why we want people to be able to use your services so then we can be confident they're going to get the knowledge, the experience, the management, and they're going to be able to use someone they trust, and that's important for all the guests that we bring on the show, that if they're obviously going to be having their own business and using that, ultimately talking about their service, that we trust your service and that we believe in it enough that anyone that uses it's not going to be like that let service where your tenants rang you because it wasn't that good, because if people go, well, he was sitting on your show, and then you know, and that's what I know.
You guys are obviously like building up a significant reputation that you need to protect. So I appreciate what you're saying.
That's why you're here.
So I'd like to say congratulations on buying your business partner out.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on the show and providing some great content. I certainly enjoyed it. Wish you all the best for the future. If anyone wants sourcing for HMOs, feel free to reach out with myself and Dan as well, and then we'll obviously liaise with Brett, and we can all work together on that side of things. Thank you for watching, guys.
A massive thank you. Earlier on today we posted a video for an opportunity for people to get involved with myself and Alex on some projects that we're currently running. The opportunity is to earn and learn. It's to come on board with us, loan Red Plum your funds, you'll get a return on your investment via a fixed interest, and then we'll take you on board with the property, take you around, and you'll become a project manager like myself and Alex will be, and see the business from behind the curtain.
That's a good opportunity. See, hands on the ground, feet on the ground. You know.
And just some practical experience.
When did you come about that idea?
It's just something that we've been floating about, and because a lot of people do learn practically, and instead of paying for mentoring and paying for these courses, why don't you loan Red Plum your money, develop the asset,
get a better return than in the bank.
And then you're going to get your money back, plus in 12 months' time, have the experience and confidence to go on and achieve whatever you want to achieve, really. Because you're going to have the confidence learning for people that do it.
Hands-on experience. That's what I was saying before. I mean, everyone learns different ways, but for me, like learning, I think I've learned most from working hard, and then like people that you associate with. So great opportunity.
It's going to be a great opportunity. But like I said, we're full of opportunities. Red Plum.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you
me.
very much for watching. It's been a fantastic show. We'll be back in 2 weeks from today. So not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after, and we'll have another great guest for sure. Thanks for listening. Over and out.